Why does the Innocence Project choose people that are proven beyond a reasonable doubt to be guilty of heinous crimes? What is their end goal? Who is behind the Innocence Project? What really is going on? And how are they getting so many celebrities into their web? To understand this organization's corrupt motivations, its success in deceiving the public, we need to look at its background and the ideological underpinnings and what I see as very dishonest and manipulative legal tactics. So the Innocence Project presents itself as a champion of justice, working to exonerate the wrongly convicted and reform the legal system. And that sounds virtuous, but behind that virtuous mission statement lies an army of activists recruited to manipulate public sentiment, exploit emotional impulses, and push an extremely left-wing radical agenda. At its core, the Innocence Project thrives on what we call toxic empathy, the kind that preys upon people's fear of appearing unkind and unempathetic. And the Innocence Project doesn't just seek justice, or it doesn't at all seek justice for the wrongly convicted. They actually redefine justice entirely. So their premise is that convicted killers are actually innocent and that the real villain is the justice system itself. That's not the premise that they tell you, but that is the underlying premise. In this kind of warped narrative, in this backwards worldview, they kind of cast the courts and law enforcement as the oppressors and criminals like Robert Robertson as a martyr or a victim. So the organization's roots, if you look at their roots, that alone reveals who they really are. Founded in 1992 by Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld, both members of O.J. Simpson's infamous Dream Team, the Innocence Project was built on the same legal gamesmanship that helped a guilty man walk free. In 1995, Scheck and Neufeld secured Simpson's acquittal despite overwhelming evidence of his guilt. In a later civil trial, Simpson was found liable for the wrongful deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. Even jurors from the original trial admitted they knew that he was guilty, but voted, quote, not guilty as a form of racial payback. So this is the early history of the Innocence Project that foreshadowed the ongoing obsession with race and racial vengeance and what is now deemed propagandistically as anti-racism. And just like with the OJ case, the Innocence Project actually specializes in freeing people who are guilty, often because of legal technicalities. That is how they seek to exonerate these people. And their mission extends beyond exoneration. One of the Innocence Project's goals is abolishing the death penalty. That's really what this is about. But they don't lead with this goal. Instead, they use these kind of misleading cases of supposed wrongful convictions to erode public confidence in capital punishment in general. And their strategy is really simple. They convince people that an innocent man or woman is being executed. And eventually opposition to the death penalty follows because it makes it seem like all of these people who didn't commit any crimes are being unjustly executed. And the results speak for themselves. They're very effective at this. Around the time the Innocence Project was founded, American support for the death penalty peaked at 80%. Today, the number has dropped to 53%. So only a slight majority believe that the death penalty for capital murder, even when someone is convicted beyond a reasonable doubt, is justified. In this way, as long as the public believes that their clients, that the Innocence Project's clients are innocent, the Innocence Project advances its agenda, even when executions proceed. The execution of someone perceived as wrongly convicted is actually, for them, even more powerful in swaying public opinion against the death penalty than exoneration. It reinforces this idea that our system is fatally flawed, that we just need to get rid of the death penalty altogether, and that really our criminal justice system isn't one to be trusted, that we're putting too many people in jail and that too many people are placed in jail for the wrong reasons.